AITA for letting my wife open her gift after she gave me divorce papers on Christmas? I'm Liam, 41, and by the time Christmas Eve dinner started, I already knew my wife's family had made me the joke before I even took off my coat. That was the strange part. I knew something was coming. I knew enough to protect myself. But I still walked in carrying homemade cranberry bars because Erin's father liked them. I still wore the sweater Erin once said made me look less serious. I still wrapped every gift neatly, wrote everyone's names on the tags, and told myself maybe, for one night, nobody would use me as the punchline. I was wrong about the night. I was not wrong to prepare. Erin and I had been married long enough that I could read a room by the way she smiled. There was the real smile, the one I hadn't seen much of in the last couple of years. There was the polite smile she used with strangers. Then there was the sharp little smile she wore around her family when she was about to say something cruel and pretend it was a joke. Her family loved that smile. Her mother, Marcia, treated Erin like she was a brave woman trapped in a disappointing life. Her father, Richard, had a way of making every insult sound like advice. Her older sister, Dana, was louder than both of them and somehow more childish. Dana had been calling me Steady Liam for years, which sounded harmless until you heard the tone. At birthdays, dinners, backyard cookouts, game nights, any family gathering where I was foolish enough to relax, the jokes found me. Liam doesn't really do surprises, Erin said once while opening a birthday gift from me. He's more of a socks and receipts kind of husband. Richard chuckled into his wine. At least he's consistent. Dana lifted her glass and said, consistently boring still counts, I guess. Everyone laughed. Not everyone loudly, but enough. I smiled that night because arguing would have turned me into the problem. I told myself it was one comment. Then one comment became the normal rhythm of our marriage in public. Erin performed irritation, her family rewarded it, and I became the safe target because I didn't explode. In private, I tried to talk to her. Can we have one dinner with your family where I'm not the joke? I asked after a Sunday meal when Dana had spent 20 minutes making fun of the way I organized receipts. Erin leaned against the bathroom counter, taking off her earrings as if I had interrupted something important. You're too sensitive. That's not an answer. It is when you make everything heavy, she said. They're joking. Normal people joke. Normal people don't need an audience every time they're annoyed. Her eyes went cold. Maybe if you gave me something worth bragging about, I wouldn't have to laugh it off. That's how our private conversations had been going. I would bring up something specific. She would turn it into my failure. If I stayed calm, I was passive. If I pushed back, I was dramatic. If I asked for counseling, she said I only wanted a referee. If I stopped asking, she said I never fought for the marriage. By that December, our house felt like two people trying not to touch the same air. Erin was cheerful with everyone except me. She texted constantly, tilted her phone away when I walked into a room, and had sudden errands that lasted 2 hours. I didn't think she was happy. I didn't think I was happy either. But divorce wasn't the part that shocked me. The ambush was. 3 days before Christmas Eve, I was in the kitchen cleaning up after dinner. Erin had gone upstairs, and our shared tablet was propped against the backsplash with a holiday cookie recipe still open. We used it for streaming, grocery lists, recipes, and online shopping. It wasn't private. It was the device we both forgot existed until we needed it. A notification dropped down at the top of the screen. Email recovery requested. The account name was tied to our shared financial email. I stood there with a wet dish towel in my hand, staring at it. At first, I thought it was a scam. Then another notification appeared, this one from the bank app asking to verify activity. I didn't go digging because I wanted to catch Erin. I checked because a recovery alert on an account connected to our shared money wasn't something you ignore 3 days before Christmas. When I opened the email, I saw the recovery request. Then I saw a line of synced notifications stacked underneath it, half hidden but readable enough. One was from the Bell family group chat. Dana, make sure he's sitting by the tree. Better lighting, LOL. I remember the way my stomach tightened. Not dropped. Tightened. Like my body understood before my mind did. I scrolled just enough to see the previews. Erin, I want him to finally understand I'm serious. Marcia, he'll be too embarrassed to fight back. Dana, someone better record his face. Another preview, from Marcia to Erin, made my hands go cold. Move the last part tomorrow. He won't notice until after Christmas. I stood in my own kitchen, with holiday music playing low from the living room speaker, reading about people discussing my humiliation like they were planning where to put the dessert table. I didn't confront Erin. That was the first smart thing I did. The old me would have walked upstairs and demanded to know what was going on. The old me would have wanted to hear her deny it, then explain it, then somehow convince me I had misunderstood. The old me would have given her enough warning to change the plan and enough emotion to use against me later. Instead, I took pictures of the screen with my phone. Then I checked the bank activity. The transfers weren't cartoonishly huge. That almost made it worse. They were ordinary-looking amounts, spread over weeks. 800 here, 1,200 there, a little under 2,000 twice. Memo lines that looked like household reimbursements or holiday expenses. But they were all going to an account I didn't recognize. I found the answer in another message preview later that night. Erin to Marcia, thanks for holding it. I just need enough set aside before he freezes everything. Then one more. Erin, he'll be too embarrassed to stay after Christmas. Once he leaves, I can breathe. I sat at the kitchen table until almost 2 in the morning, not moving much. The tablet went dark. The dishwasher hummed. Upstairs, Erin walked from the bedroom to the bathroom and back like nothing in the world had changed. Everything had changed. The next morning, I called Rachel. Rachel had been my friend for years. She was the kind of person who could be protective without being reckless, which was exactly what I needed. I told her what I had seen. I expected her to tell me to pack a bag or confront Erin. Instead, she went quiet for a long moment and said, "Do not react where they can see it." "I already feel like an idiot," I said. "You are not an idiot. You found out before they expected you to. That matters. She's planning to serve me on Christmas. Then talk to a lawyer before Christmas. I don't even know what I'm allowed to do." "Exactly. Find out before you do anything." So I did. I scheduled a consultation that afternoon. I brought screenshots, bank activity, and notes. The lawyer listened without looking shocked, which was both comforting and depressing. Apparently, people find creative ways to be cruel when money and divorce are involved. He didn't give me a magic plan. He didn't say I could storm in and take everything back. He said to preserve records, avoid threats, keep communication written, don't get baited into emotional texts, and don't abandon the house out of panic. He told me to restrict or monitor vulnerable shared credit lines through proper channels if there was a legitimate concern, and to document the transfers. Then he said something I kept repeating in my head for the next 2 days. The best thing you can do is stay boring. Boring is excellent in court. Angry is expensive. That was when I decided what Erin's last Christmas gift from me would be. Not jewelry. Not a speech. Not a desperate letter begging her to remember who we used to be. A record. I printed selected screenshots, not everything. Enough to show I knew about the planned service, the recording, the seating arrangement, and the money transfers. I printed the bank pages showing the pattern. I included the legal consultation confirmation email and a short letter. Erin, from this point forward, all divorce-related communication will happen through attorneys or written email. Do not use your family as intermediaries. Do not pressure me to leave or make verbal agreements in front of witnesses selected by you. All financial transfers from shared accounts are being documented and will be addressed properly. Liam. I put the papers in a small silver gift box. I wrapped it with a white ribbon because I knew Erin would assume it was something delicate. She liked pretty packaging. She liked presentation. She believed presentation could become truth if enough people watched. On Christmas Eve, Erin was almost cheerful. Not warm. Not loving. Cheerful. She hummed while getting ready. She wore red lipstick and asked if I was bringing the cranberry bars. "Your dad likes them," I said. She glanced at me in the mirror. "That's nice of you." It was the way she said it. Not grateful. Almost amused. On the drive over, she texted most of the time. The glow from her phone flashed across her face every few seconds. Once, she smiled down at the screen and quickly turned it toward the window. "You okay?" I asked. "Great," she said. "Just don't be weird tonight." I looked at the road ahead. What does that mean? It means don't sit there like a kicked dog if people joke around. It's Christmas. My hands tightened on the steering wheel, then relaxed. "Sure," I said. Her parents' house looked like a Christmas catalog had exploded inside it. Matching stockings hung from the mantel. The tree was huge, covered in gold ribbon and glass ornaments. A holiday movie played on low volume in the den, where a few kids were running in and out with cookies. The dining table was already set with red napkins, wine glasses, candles, and little name cards Marcia always pretended were casual. They had placed me at the far side of the table during dinner, facing most of the room. Later, in the living room, they guided me into the armchair near the tree. Marcia touched my shoulder and said, "Liam, sit there. Better view of everyone." A better view of me, she meant. I put Erin's silver box under the tree with the other gifts. Her eyes flicked to it once, then away. Dana noticed it too. "Ooh," Dana said. "Tiny box. Careful, Erin. Could be earrings. Could be a keychain from a gas station. With Liam, who knows?" Erin laughed under her breath. "Let's not ask for miracles." Miles, Dana's husband, shifted uncomfortably on the couch and said, "The food was great, Marcia." Dana rolled her eyes. "Relax, Miles. We're joking." That was the whole family system in one sentence. Cruelty, then relax. A dig, then we're joking. A wound, then why are you bleeding so dramatically? Dinner crawled by. Richard made a comment about men needing to know when they had become dead weight. Erin smiled into her wine. Marcia asked me, in that soft fake concern voice, whether I had any big plans for the new year or if I was sticking with the usual. Dana joked that maybe Erin would finally get something exciting for Christmas. I ate turkey. I answered politely. I passed the rolls. I watched. Not everyone was in on it. A few cousins seemed distracted. Tessa, Erin's cousin, kept looking at Dana's phone and then at me like she was putting something together. Miles barely spoke. The kids were moved into the den after dessert with a movie and a bowl of popcorn, which told me more than anyone realized. They didn't want children in the room for what came next. After dinner, everyone gathered in the living room. Wrapping paper was already scattered under the tree. There was a black trash bag near Richard's chair for ribbons and torn paper. Wine glasses sat on coasters. Someone had put out another tray of cookies nobody was eating. Erin sat across from me on the love seat. Dana sat to her right with her phone face down on her knee, one hand resting on it. Marcia perched near the fireplace. Richard stood like a man waiting to make a toast. "All right," he said. "Let's get to the good stuff." He said it like he already knew what the good stuff was. A few gifts were opened first. A scarf, a bottle of bourbon, a kitchen gadget. Laughter rose and fell, too bright around the edges. Erin kept glancing at Dana. Then Erin stood. She reached behind a large wrapped box near the tree and pulled out a thick manila envelope. My name was written across the front in black marker. The room changed. That's the only way I can describe it. The air grew tense. Dana's phone lifted. Marcia pressed her fingers together under her chin. Richard stopped pretending to look surprised. Erin turned toward me. Her smile was perfect. "Merry Christmas, Liam," she said. "I'm finally giving myself the gift of not carrying this marriage anymore." Then she tossed the envelope at me. It hit my chest and dropped into my lap. For a second, all I could hear was the movie from the other room. Some animated character laughing faintly through the wall. Christmas lights reflected off the metal clasp on the envelope. My hands were still on the arms of the chair. Marcia clapped first. "Oh, sweetheart," she said. "Good for you." Richard joined in, slow and approving, like Erin had just given a speech at a banquet. Dana laughed. Finally, someone whispered, "Oh my God." Erin kept going. Of course she did. It had been rehearsed. "Don't act blindsided," she said. "You had years to become someone I could respect. Years. And I wanted you to understand what done looks like." I looked down at the envelope. Divorce papers. Real ones. Not a joke. Not symbolic. Not a threat. The pain still hit, even though I knew it was coming. That surprised me. I thought preparation would make me numb. It didn't. It only gave me somewhere to put my hands while my chest hollowed out. Dana angled her phone higher. That was when I understood, fully, that the papers were not the surprise. My reaction was supposed to be the surprise. They wanted tears. Yelling. Me throwing the envelope back. Me storming out. Me giving them a clip they could send around with captions. Me becoming the unstable husband Erin had apparently been describing behind my back. So I breathed in. Then I picked up the envelope and set it on the coffee table. My hands shook slightly. My voice didn't. "Before anyone gets too comfortable recording this," I said, looking at Dana's phone, "you should understand you may be choosing to become part of a legal matter." Dana's smile twitched. Erin scoffed. "Oh, please." Richard lifted one hand. "Let's all stay calm." I looked at him. I am calm. That bothered him. I could tell. Erin crossed her arms. This does not have to be ugly unless you make it ugly. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny. Because Marcia had probably fed her that line. I leaned forward and picked up the small silver box from under the tree. You picked Christmas because you wanted an audience, I said. That's fair. I brought one too. The room went quiet enough that I could hear the soft crackle of the fireplace. I held the box out to Erin. Open mine next. For the first time that night, she looked uncertain. Dana recovered before she did. Wow. Still trying to save yourself with a gift? That is actually sad. I didn't look at Dana. I kept the box extended. Erin took it slowly. The ribbon slid loose under her fingers. She lifted the lid, expecting jewelry, maybe a necklace, maybe one last pathetic attempt at romance. I watched the exact moment she recognized the first screenshot. Her face changed. Not dramatically. Erin was too controlled for that. But the color drained from her cheeks, and her mouth parted just enough. What is this? She said. A record, I said. Since everyone here seems so interested in having one. She tried to close the box. Don't, Marcia said sharply, then softened her tone too late. I mean, sweetheart, what is it? Erin didn't answer. So I did. There are copies of messages discussing tonight, I said. Including where I should sit, who should record my reaction, and the expectation that I'd be too embarrassed to fight back. There are also records of transfers from our shared account that appear to have gone to an account connected to Marcia. Marcia stood so quickly her wine glass wobbled on the side table. That money situation is private, and you know it. I looked at her. Then your explanation can go through the proper channels. Richard's jaw tightened. Now hold on. No, I said. I won't discuss our marriage or our finances in your living room. Erin made a public choice. I'm setting a public boundary. Dana let out a harsh laugh. You're being dramatic. I turned to her. You suggested recording my face before I even had a reaction. Her mouth shut. It was the first time I had ever seen Dana without a comeback. Tessa, from the far end of the couch, looked at Dana, then at Marcia, then at Erin. Something in her face shifted from uncomfortable to disgusted. Miles lowered his phone. I hadn't realized he was recording too. For one sharp second, anger flashed through me. Then I saw his expression. He didn't look entertained. He looked like someone who had started recording because he could feel the room crossing a line and didn't know how else to prove it later. Erin finally found her voice. You went through my messages? You used our shared tablet and our shared financial email, I said. A recovery alert came through for an account tied to our money. I checked what affected me. You're twisting this, she said. No, I'm preserving it. Marcia pointed at the box. This is intimidation. No, I said. Throwing divorce papers at me in a room full of people while your daughter records my reaction was intimidation. This is documentation. Richard stepped closer, doing his authority voice. A man should know when a marriage is over. I nodded. I do. That stopped him. I stood and picked up my coat from the back of the chair. Erin stared at me. So that's it. You're just leaving. No, I said. I'm not abandoning anything. I'm leaving this room. There's a difference. Her eyes flickered. She knew exactly why that mattered. I continued, keeping my voice low. From now on, email or lawyers. Do not call me to argue. Do not send your family to speak for you. Do not move any more shared money without expecting it to be addressed. Marcia made a wounded sound. After everything Erin has been through, you're making this about money? I looked around the room. At the perfect stockings. The tree. The gift tags. The trash bag full of wrapping paper. The relatives who had laughed, frozen, looked away, or pretended not to understand what they were watching. I'm making this about the truth, I said. Dana muttered. You ruined Christmas. I looked at her one last time. No, I refused to be the entertainment. Then I walked out. I didn't slam the door. I didn't peel out of the driveway. I didn't give anyone a final speech from the porch. I sat in my car with both hands on the cold steering wheel and shook so hard my teeth almost clicked. That's the part people skip in revenge stories. They want the clean exit, the perfect line, the villain silenced. They don't show you the man sitting alone in a dark car, staring through the windshield at Christmas lights, realizing his marriage is not just ending. It has already been dead long enough for other people to plan jokes around the body. My phone rang. Erin. I let it go to voicemail. It rang again. Then Dana. Then Erin. Then a text came through. Erin, you embarrassed me in front of my entire family. I stared at it for a while. My thumb hovered over the screen. There were 100 things I wanted to say. Some were cruel. Some were sad. Most were useless. I called Rachel instead. She answered on the second ring. Are you out? Yeah. Are you safe? I'm in the car. Did you yell? No. Did you threaten anyone? No. Good. I laughed once, but it came out wrong. I don't feel like I won. Rachel's voice softened. Good. This wasn't supposed to feel like winning. It was supposed to keep you safe. I closed my eyes. She actually threw them at me. I'm sorry. Her parents clapped. I know. How do you know? You told me they would. That broke something in me. Not loudly. I didn't sob like in movies. I just sat there with my eyes closed while tears ran down my face, angry and quiet. Because Rachel was right. I had known enough to prepare. That meant some part of me had already understood how little kindness I should expect. When I got back, I did exactly what the lawyer had told me. I took pictures of the divorce papers. I saved Erin's texts. I emailed my lawyer a timeline while the details were fresh. I didn't answer calls. I didn't get pulled into a fight. At 12:18 a.m., another text came from Erin. Erin, you had no right to make my family uncomfortable. I replied once. Me, you chose the audience. I chose the truth. Email me or contact my lawyer. Then I muted her. The next morning, Christmas Day, the fallout started. Not from me. Miles had posted a video in the family group chat. I only found out because Tessa sent me a message. Tessa, you don't have to reply. I just thought you should have these. I'm sorry. This was cruel. Attached were screenshots. More than I had seen before. Dana, make sure he's sitting by the tree. Better lighting, LOL. Richard, no one jump in. Let Erin say what she needs to say. Marcia, he'll try to make himself the victim. Stay focused on her. Erin, I want him embarrassed enough to leave. Dana, someone better record his face. And then, after the incident, the group chat had turned on itself. Miles, this was messed up. You all clapped. Dana, why were you recording? Miles, because I had a feeling someone would lie about what happened. Marcia, delete that. Tessa, don't delete it. Erin, Liam planned this. He humiliated me. Tessa, Erin, you threw divorce papers at him on Christmas. Seeing the words in black and white didn't make me happy. It made me feel steadier. There is a difference. By the afternoon, Erin emailed me. The tone was completely different from her texts. Less rage, more performance. Liam, I think we both acted emotionally last night. I do not appreciate being accused in front of my family. The money you referenced was not hidden. It was being protected because I was worried about how you would respond. I hope we can handle this respectfully from now on. Erin, I forwarded it to my lawyer without replying. That became my new habit. Save. Forward. Breathe. Don't take the bait. Over the next week, I learned how fast people rewrite events when the first version makes them look ugly. Erin told a few relatives I had set her up. Dana said I had been creepy and calculated. Marcia insisted the money was just being held temporarily and that I was making private family support sound criminal. But the video existed. It was shaky. Half the frame was the side of Miles's thumb. The audio dipped when someone moved near him. But it showed enough. Erin standing. The envelope hitting my chest. Marcia clapping. Richard joining. Dana saying, finally. Me sitting still. Me warning them about recording. Me handing over the silver box without raising my voice. It didn't make me look like a monster. That was the real problem for them. The story they had prepared needed me unstable. It needed me loud. It needed me storming out like a man abandoning his home. Instead, the record showed a room full of people trying to break someone who refused to perform for them. The financial part moved slower, because real consequences are not movie scenes. There was no dramatic knock on Marcia's door. No instant victory. No judge banging a gavel 2 days later. There were emails. Statements. Questions her lawyer had to answer. Transfers that suddenly needed explanations. Requests for documentation. A very tense written exchange about shared accounts and credit lines. I followed advice, restricted what I could through legitimate channels, and refused to play the game where Erin called me controlling for noticing money leaving our account. She tried calling me from Marcia's phone once. I didn't answer. Dana sent one text from an unknown number. Dana, hope you're proud of yourself. You made Erin cry on Christmas. I blocked it. Not because it didn't affect me. It did. It made me furious. But I had finally learned that not every accusation deserves the dignity of a reply. A few days after New Year's, Tessa messaged me again. Tessa, for what it's worth, some people are saying they didn't know it was going to be like that. I know that doesn't fix anything. I wrote back. Me. Thank you for sending what you sent. That helped. She replied with a heart and nothing else. Miles emailed the video directly to me later. His message was short. Liam, I should have said something in the room. I didn't. That's on me. I'm sending this because I don't want them pretending it went differently. Miles. I stared at that email longer than I expected. Part of me wanted to be angry at him for staying quiet. Part of me was. But another part of me understood how that family worked. They trained people to freeze, laugh along, or look away. I had done my own version of it for years. I wrote back. Thank you. I appreciate you sending it. That was all. As for Erin, she never apologized. Not really. She apologized for how things unfolded. She apologized that I felt attacked. She said she wished I had not escalated with documents. She said I had made it impossible for her family to support a peaceful process. But she never said, I should not have thrown divorce papers at you during Christmas. She never said, I should not have helped plan your humiliation. She never said, I should not have moved shared money and assumed you would be too embarrassed to notice. The closest she came was one late-night email 2 weeks later. I was angry and I wanted my family with me. Maybe I went too far. Maybe. That word told me everything I needed to know. For years, I thought being the bigger person meant absorbing the hit. Smile at the joke. Let the comment pass. Keep dinner pleasant. Don't embarrass anyone. Don't ruin the holiday. Don't make people uncomfortable by naming what they are doing. But peacekeeping can become self-erasure if you do it long enough. And patience, without boundaries, starts to look like permission to people who were never planning to respect you anyway. I'm not pretending I was a perfect husband. I wasn't. I avoided hard conversations until they became harder. I let resentment sit because silence felt safer than conflict. I told myself calm was always the mature choice, even when calm had become a cage. But I didn't deserve to be staged, filmed, and financially maneuvered like a problem Erin's family could solve with applause. The divorce didn't become easy after Christmas. Nothing about separating a life is easy. There were still papers, meetings, tense emails, and nights when I walked through rooms that felt too quiet. There were still moments when I remembered the version of Erin I had loved and wondered where she had gone, or whether I had been ignoring the answer for years. But there was one thing I never had to wonder. I didn't give them the scene they wanted. I didn't beg Erin to stay in front of people who had clapped for my humiliation. I didn't scream. I didn't threaten. I didn't throw anything back. I didn't let them push me out in panic and then call it abandonment. I left that room with my coat, my records, and the last piece of dignity they expected me to drop. The silver box became a family scandal for them. For me, it became something else. A line. A small, neatly wrapped line between the man who kept accepting disrespect to keep the peace and the man who finally understood that peace without respect is just silence. The last gift I gave Erin was not jewelry, not forgiveness, and not a scene. It was proof that I was no longer the man she could humiliate and then explain away. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.